Well, Pam Bondi, of course, is coming under attack. You know, as somebody who's observed these things actually for decades, I want to fill you in on a little secret. There has never been a nominee for Attorney General of the United States by a Republican president who has not been called controversial, who has not been attacked. Every single one of them has come under attack because the Democrat Party believes it owns all the bureaucracy, but especially the Department of Injustice, the Civil Division, the Criminal Division, the Civil Rights Division, the Antitrust Division, all of it, because of the enormous power that the Department of Injustice has. Take it from me. I was Chief of Staff to Attorney General Meese. I know what I'm talking about. They don't want it reformed. They like what it did to Donald Trump. They like the fact that they crossed the Rubicon with lawfare. And they want to keep it that way and subject any individual who they view as a threat to their power to the full force, the iron fist, the police state tactics of the United States Department of Injustice. That is what's going on. That is what's going on. So the Democrat Party believes it owns the bureaucracy. In fact, it does own much of the bureaucracy. It wants the 2.5 million bureaucrats there to be insulated from you and we the people, from the electorate and the voters. It doesn't want any reforms. It doesn't want any streamlining. It doesn't want any programs reduced or cut. It wants none of it. Because the Democrat Party views the fourth branch of government as essential to its monopoly power. Unaffected, immune from the electorate. Unaffected, immune from Republican administrations. That's what's going on. And the media, of course, the media, which have been around Washington, D.C. as long as anything else, they're part of the swamp. They're part of the administrative state, the ubiquitous government. They're part of it. And say they will run interference for it. And I would advise you not to watch these so-called Sunday news shows this Sunday, because you won't like it. It'll upset you in the weekend before Thanksgiving. Make sure you watch my show, of course, Saturday and Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, on Fox. I don't give you angina, or as some people say, angina. I give you relief, sustenance. And so, of course, MSLSD, which continues with its radical left-wing agenda by bringing on the likes of Jamie Raskin, who's a communist Stalinist, just like his daddy was with the Institute for Policy Studies, IPS. Go ahead and Google it. Which was undermining us during the Cold War with the Soviet Union. That's the chip off the old block that Jamie Raskin comes from. So he's on MSNBC yesterday trashing Pam Bondi. Hakeem Jeffries, who's an old bomb thrower, just like his uncle. Just like his uncle. You remember Professor Jeffries and all the anti-Semitism that spewed from that foul mouth? You remember that? He was removed from his position at some college. Yeah, Hakeem Jeffries, who defended his uncle back then, also attacking Pam Bondi. Then you have somebody called Jason Johnson, professor at Morgan State University. I believe he sat in for Joy Reid at one point. Could be wrong, but I think I'm right. He's a fill-in host. That's what I thought. He says you need to fear Pam Bondi if you're on the left. David Axelrod, he's still around. Still around with that stupid look on his face. That stupid look on his face is his face. He's trashing Pam Bondi. They're going right down the list, you see. So Gates is gone. Now we're going to trash Pam Bondi. Pam Bondi was Attorney General of Florida for 8 years. She had a much better record than Kamala Harris did as the Attorney General of California for 8 years. Now, of course, Pam Bondi is a woman. We conservatives, Republicans, constitutionalists, we know the difference between women and men. It's called science. It's called obvious genitalia, but the liberals and the Democrats are utterly and completely confused. But she won't get a break from the women. Say, well, she's a woman. She'd be great. No. Just like if she were black, she wouldn't get a break. Or Hispanic, she wouldn't get a break. In fact, minorities and women are feared by the Democrat Party unless they fall in line. Unless they fall in line. Pam Bondi doesn't fall in line. She was a great attorney general, a great public official. She's a great person. And they'll pick her to death. They'll pick her to death. But we will defend her. Period. We will defend her. We have a damn big voice here. We have a damn big audience here. Now, here's Jamie Raskin on MSLSD yesterday. MSLSD, you know, I read somewhere Elon Musk said, how much is it? I wouldn't waste my money. Let it go into the dustbin of history. It's a real waste of a carbon footprint. Let all the phony hosts and guests and contributors, let them struggle to find real work. Here's Jamie Raskin, Raskin the Red, Raskin the Stalinist. Hey, Jamie, if you don't agree, you can sue me, you know. And I will countersue, and I don't settle. Period. Period. But I will prove you and your father and the whole damn bunch of you what you are, who you are, get access to everything. Can't get the little bastard on the program. He's a coward. It's a coward. Coward Jamie Raskin the Red. Cut one, go.
But remember, the Attorney General himself or herself rarely appears in court.
What's this himself, herself stuff? You don't identify by himself, herself, dummy. Get with the woke program. I mean, you Marxists created it. Get with it. Go ahead. Start from the top, please.
But remember, the Attorney General himself or herself rarely appears in court. I mean, even in the Supreme Court, that's the Solicitor General. Right. So she's really presiding over the bureaucracy.
No, she's not just presiding over the bureaucracy. She's calling the shots. All the policy decisions, all the litigation decisions, all of them. That even the Solicitor General makes are her decisions. All the law enforcement decisions are her decisions. So the guy's a moron. But remember, she's just in charge of the bureaucracy. Well, she is in charge of the bureaucracy, too. Is there a problem with that? Is it okay when Republicans get elected, they're actually in charge of the bureaucracy, or are we not allowed to do that? That's Jamie's realm. He gets to do that. Jamie. I don't have a problem with the name Jamie, but it seems to me when you're like 58 years old, maybe you want to work on that. Go ahead.
That's where she'll be the key transmission belt between Donald Trump's orders and then making the bureaucracy move. And
does anyone understand what he's talking about? First of all, the transition belt, you can tell he's been under the hood a lot. Hope it's not a white one. He's the transition belt between Donald Trump's orders and then making the bureaucracy move. First of all, last time I checked, Donald Trump was elected president. You little bastard, you were elected out of some commie little congressional district in bright blue Maryland. You think you're in charge. Now, this guy's been involved in the impeachment proceedings, both of them against Trump. He's been involved in the criminal acts against Trump. He's been involved in the January 6th committee. He's a complete sleazeball. Utter, contemptible sleazeball. So Donald Trump will be in charge of how the bureaucracy is handled at the Department of Justice. Isn't that the way that's supposed to work? Yeah, I think it is. I mean, Joe Biden sent smoke signals and everything else over there to Biden. Biden, that is. Check that. Biden sent smoke signals to Garland. And what did Garland do? He unleashed the Department of Justice against Donald Trump. And he unleashed it against Steve Bannon. And he unleashed it against Navarro. And he unleashed it against who else? Stone. Manafort. And now we're all supposed to sit back and say, it's an independent department. It's absolutely independent. Don't you know? It's independent. You're not supposed to have any control over anything. Where the hell is that written in the Constitution? Do we have an independent Department of Justice? What does that mean? It means you turn it over to all the leftists, to all the Democrats, the Marxists, the Islamists who populate the Department of Justice. You just turn it over to them and say, okay, you're in charge of law enforcement. Is that about right? No, it's not about right. You have to hold people accountable. You do it through elections. The bureaucracy is untouchable. Between the union status and the civil service status, you ever try and fire somebody in the federal bureaucracy? It takes a lifetime, and then you're overturned. The only turnover there is in the federal bureaucracy if somebody decides to retire. Now, I'm not talking about all bureaucrats, but I'm talking about a hell of a lot of them. Go ahead.
Versus what everybody at the Department of Justice is so afraid of. That
everybody, says the little Stalinist bastard. Everybody at the Department of Justice is so afraid. Well, if they're afraid, maybe they ought to be afraid. But what are you talking about, clown? How do you know everybody at the Department of Justice is afraid? Go ahead.
Wholesale abandonment of the law and the Constitution.
Now, this comes from a Marxist. Wholesale abandonment. This is the guy that said the 14th Amendment can be used to remove Donald Trump from the ballot. This is the guy that said, in terms of limiting the debt ceiling, that the president doesn't need the authority of the House of Representatives, even though the Constitution specifically gives the power of the purse to Congress and, within Congress, the House of Representatives. That's the guy. This is the guy who thought what took place in a Manhattan courtroom, a violation of due process and equal protection under the 14th Amendment of the federal Constitution, is just fine. No problem whatsoever. But now we're worried about, you see, the abandonment of the law and the Constitution. I am so confused. I thought the Constitution was written by white slaveholders. I thought the Constitution is an old and dead document. I thought you need to breathe life into the Constitution. It needs to be living and breathing. It needs to be changed and updated by activist judges. I thought the Constitution, we needed to overcome aspects of the Constitution, separation of powers, the Electoral College, the independence of the Supreme Court. That's his agenda. That's their agenda. But don't worry, he wants you to follow the Constitution. Which Constitution? What Constitution? What does he have in mind? We know what he has in mind. This guy's a bum. Period. Go ahead.
Basically become like the Donald Trump law firm.
The Donald Trump law firm. So there he is, spewing for about a minute on MSLSD, saying absolutely nothing intelligent, factual, substantive. Now, once again, nationally, publicly, we've tried it quietly. We've tried it through contacts to his office. Mr. Raskin, please come on my radio show, or come on my Blaze show, or come on my Fox show. I want to debate you. I want to confront you. I want to expose you. Now get off your little ass and let's do it.